Boo, boo, boo. Boo, 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 boo. Hey, hello, welcome to day 29 of the Martian Movers 30-day challenge. I'm your host, Marina Mars. You already know that, but today we are constructing some love letters to loved ones, both professionally and personally. So please share your thoughts in the comment section whenever you feel inspired to add your spice into this melting pot of love. Oh my gosh, day 29, the final stretch. I haven't even changed my outfit. So while this lesson is going to seem very familiar to yesterday's, obviously I filmed this in the same day, but you get the point. It's going to have some profoundly immense impacts on your life that are going to be very fundamentally different from the stuff that we did yesterday. And this specifically, the one that we're doing today, changed my life. And not even just like mindset wise, but like opportunities started popping up left and right. And this is how I became a professional paid artist. This is the secret. This is how I am able to do what I do on a professional level. And I want you to be able to do whatever it is that your passion is on a professional level. So today we're writing letters of gratitude to people who mean a lot to us. So we're going to start by making a list of people who have impacted your growth as a human being. And I don't want you to hold yourself back because you're totally allowed to scribble names off as time progresses. No one ever needs to see this list but you. And something to keep in mind with this list is not about who needs love. This list is not about who would be mad if they found out they didn't get one. Because this is not an activity that I think that you should share to social media, to be honest with you. It's just the letters we're about to write today, they are not public declarations of anything. This is private. This is not a show. This is real life. This isn't to show people that you're such a nice person, that is not the intention, nor do we want to sully it in that regard. Now, if you happen to send a letter, and the recipient ends up sharing it publicly, that's their own decision, and that's cool, but you don't get the gloat points for doing a nice thing. Okay, that's the ego taking the wheel away from the heart here. And lastly, I want to make sure that this list is holistic. So what I mean by that is I recommend that you try thinking of a name for each category of life. So just like a little list of prompts I gave you yesterday, here is a list of those, aspects, those categories of life. So think, obviously, the first ones that come to mind, your romantic relationships, your friendships, your family. Again, if you have any of the above, it is what it is. Those are the easiest ones that come to mind typically for people. But then we move into the different aspects of life, right? So we've got, your health and wellness area. So think, what coaches have you had, or doctors or therapists that have legitimately done some good for you in your life. In the aspect of personal growth, think about what hobbies you're interested in and the kind of people you encounter when you are, engaging in those hobbies or activities. Maybe you've got some mentors on those, in those hobbies if you take classes. Maybe there's a motivational speaker who, you'd heard one time. Think about areas of play and rest. So maybe there's an artist that helps you enjoy your life. Before I continue, you don't need to know these people in real life, right? I mean, obviously it's helpful, but you don't always have to. And I'll explain why and give some examples later. So again, be uninhibited with this list. You don't have to know them. You could kind of know them. You could really know them. It doesn't matter. So again, I want to reiterate that one because artists are fucking struggling and super sad right now and they could really use your love. So if there is an artist that you enjoy, that makes your life better, think about the movies you watch on Netflix, the Instagram accounts that you follow, if there are any influencers or any personalities, any journalists that you're reading you love their op-eds or their comics, anything like that. Think about what you like to do. Just go through your phone and kind of pay attention and realize that these are real life fucking people making real things. Moving on into the other categories of life, spirituality, whatever that means to you. If you're the kind of person who participates in a group spiritual practice of any kind, maybe there's a leader or, an orator of some kind, or someone who wrote a spiritual text, or like analysis. Maybe there's like a spiritual program, anything like that. In the category of finance. So this one sounds funny because it's not like, I'm not really like, I don't think my bank teller is inherently inspired me in any way. But think about this in the light that I had mentioned in the network and collaboration of life. How I talked about what if we thought about currency in terms of energy instead of money or debt. So in that perspective of finance, like who helps you find abundance? I'm gonna leave that one open-ended, but just think about it, because sometimes it's not as obvious. Like sometimes it might even just be like a random person that you like to talk to about things that make you feel more full, but you wouldn't put them in any other category. Maybe they're not even a friend. Maybe they're just like a coffee shop person, but it's not quite a hobby because of X, Y, or Z. This is kind of just that catch-all category of who just brings more abundance into your life in different ways. Maybe you have a really cool old lady that lives next door and she helped you figure out how to not kill your houseplants, or she borrowed you a cup of sugar one time. I mean, I would put that in that category personally, if we're not already friends, because if I had a neighbor like that, we'd totally be friends. Moving on, we've got two more categories. We have business and work, right? So your bosses, your colleagues, your clients, it could be anything. A supplier that you had talked to one time, and it turns out, maybe that supplier was so eco-friendly and sustainable that they inspired you to kind of do something with your life in a similar way, right? And lastly, your home is the final category. So who helped you cultivate your safe haven? Maybe if you have had some people help you design something, or again, back to artists, maybe you paid an artist for a painting that you love to look at. Maybe there was a really cool recipe for homemade patchouli not patchouli, that is not the word I meant to use. I meant to use the word potpourri. Patchouli is a delightful fucking smell though. Anyway, maybe there's someone that made some smell goods for you. I know a lot of people are really into essential oils. If you have someone who makes you fun little doses of love, I know I definitely have someone who gave me, it's not in here, this gorgeous little, it literally just says like good vibes juice. And I put it on every single time that I am sad. And shout out to Lauren. Thank you so much for my good vibe juice. Anyway, so here's all the different categories of life. So hopefully you have a list full of a bunch of random people that maybe you're like, damn, I never even thought about like expressing gratitude to them. But don't worry, I'm not about to like ask you to write letters to a bunch of people. I'm just asking you to brainstorm right now and do it in an unadulterated, uninhibited way. So sit with that list, and let's just kind of go over what I had mentioned yesterday. So yesterday I talked about the structure of a love letter in 3 distinct parts. The beginning being an outpouring of love, the middle being a confession of some, very intimate type that may have never been like verbally spoken, or if it wasn't taken as seriously. And then the last part being the action plan for the continuation of love. So, of course, I write romantic love letters all the time for my partner, but I want to show you that love letters are not just for lovers. Love is not inherently sexual. Love is the force, like the capital T, the force behind flow. And if you want to suppress love, then you're going to be suppressing your flow state. So, I have love for all of humanity. That's why I used to hand out love letters to strangers back when I would perform in the pre-COVID days. They would always just be a 3-sentence, just like, hey, you're great. Look, there's this thing about you. I hope you really go forward with it because it's special. And then I end it with another compliment, just like, you kill it, queen, you got this. Some letter of encouragement so that they have the motivation to move forward, right? So I highly encourage you, when you write your letter, to send them. And you don't have to do more than one. I just, please do one at least. Feel free to do more, and feel free to put this practice into your kind of daily habit. Not daily, excuse me. I meant more of like it's in your repertoire of things that can make you feel better on a low day. Or if you feel you're living in scarcity, you find that the finances aren't rolling in, you don't know how things are going to get paid, and you're worried, and you just have all this stressy energy, and you know that it's not going to get better until you can like chill the fuck out and calm down and like get your thoughts together. Sometimes the best way to get to that point, to be able to chill our minds out, is to focus on other people, right? So focus on people who have helped you in the past. Write them a letter. Now, not to ask for help. These letters are not like that. They are literally just thank you. Just returning the love, returning the attention that they had given you, right? That reciprocal exchange of energy that the flow state is all about. This will unblock some flow for you, some flow obstacles. In the unfortunate circumstance that you have no way of contacting them, maybe they're dead, in which case I'm sorry. Maybe you don't know their email address and you're not really interested in being like super stalkery. That's okay. Which, as a side note really quick, it's not stalkery to Google someone and figure out how to contact them unless you are like going to these weird levels of like paying people to figure out their private information that, obviously that's some seedy territory, but you're totally allowed to just Google people and see if they have a public email address like on their website or on their, place of business site. There's nothing creepy about that. That is public information for a reason. They want to be found. If they didn't, they wouldn't put it in a public domain, right? So keep that in mind. So I send letters like this all the time, like I mentioned. Towards the beginning of quarantine, before I had made Martian Movers, and I was like not really sure what I was doing, I ended up writing like 10 love letters that I sent out to my friends. Like I said, I give them to strangers back when I used to perform. I've sent a lot of emails to people I've never met. I DM random people on Instagram all the time to tell them how great they are and how much, their journey or their message has helped me. I comment on, at least 50 posts a day. But my favorite example is something that actually happened to me this week, which kind of blew my mind. So 2.5 years ago, I wrote an email and then a letter, because I realized that email has spam folders, to my favorite college TA. This man had really just done so much for my life. I literally, no letter, no amount of me being like, thank you, could get it, because that motherfucker, really helped my brain. So, I literally just got that reply on Monday, which was 2 days before I recorded this. So, August, what day is it? August 2nd, 2020. I sent that email 2.5 years ago. So, point of me telling that story is that one was a really intense letter, because it was someone that I had worked with daily for hours, because I was struggling in college with math. I could not read the textbook. I literally thought I was reading a different language, because I was, and I couldn't understand it, and every sentence would just push me into a panic. And he would sit there line by line and just be like, what does this word mean? What does this word mean? Until I understood it. And so eventually I'd learn how to read these logic sentences and then paragraphs. And now, the day job that I currently have at the laboratory, I write procedures, which are basically, it's basically that. Like, he is the reason I have a job in the middle of this pandemic in that regard. And so, but it was funny because, I sent that letter 2.5 years ago, never expected a response. I just kind of sent it out, just hoping it'd be a thing. And then he ended up writing back in the perfect time, exactly right when I'm writing this episode. So it ended up lifting my spirits and giving me even more inspiration to be able to deliver this message to you. Magical things happen. I've also gotten responses from celebrities. I've gotten responses from, people who were like, oh, like, do you want to collaborate on something? So someone I thought was just like way higher than me in the industry, whatever that means. Or like, I didn't know if they'd be interested. It wasn't about me, right? Like, all I was trying to do was let them know how cool I thought they were. So the fact that it ended up being reciprocated, we ended up being able to collaborate on things. And God, I mean, how do you think I met my partner, the love of my life? It all starts with a love letter of some kind. And I want to inspire you to think outside the box and recognize that love letters don't have to be written in the Victorian era with perfect cursive. Like, no. Obviously, like I had mentioned, I think the one main, deep, intense one that I want you to write for today, for, today's challenge, I want that one to be written and sent out. Because like I'd mentioned in yesterday's episode, in yesterday's prompt, the energy that's in handwriting is really important. But in order to integrate this into your daily habit, think of when you're engaging on Instagram or Facebook, when you're talking to your friends, when you're interacting in the world, just kind of let yourself be a little bit more open to that gratitude and giving that energy when appropriate. And again, don't expect a response, because that's not the point of this. You're not asking for anything in return. The point is to give back the energy that they gave you, because this is an equal exchange of energy, and that's how you flow. If they choose to reciprocate and you choose back, then the flow can continue in that direction, but you can't force flow, because that's literally the exact, force flow is an oxymoron. On a final note, with all of that being said, in your emails yesterday, today, and tomorrow, there's going to be a link with an exit survey. And so this exit survey is obviously going to be having some of the similar questions that you had on day one, because I want to be able to send each and every one of you, no matter what level of the package you bought, I'm going to send you your side-by-side answers so you can kind of see how much you've grown and how far you've come, and kind of just have an outside person helping keep you accountable in that way. But also, there is going to be a spot that's going to ask you to write a testimonial about this challenge. If you've got the spoons for it, these testimonials are very important to me. Not only do I want to know what your experience was like, so that I can, help future students and help future clients get exactly what they need, and I can do a better job doing so. But I'd also, like to know what is working and what should just totally be thrown out. Testimonials are also examples of social proof, and that's what keeps my business going. So they show other people, these testimonials show other people that I'm a real person providing a real service, and I'm genuinely here to help. Again, it would be such an honor if you can take a moment to fill that out for me. Absolutely no obligations, and I love you no matter what. But if you just happen to need a little bit of inspiration for your love letter writing, feel free to, fill out that questionnaire or the exit survey, and I will also send those answers out to you afterwards. Good luck, my beautiful Martians. I just want to sit here and pour a bunch of love on you, but that's what tomorrow is for, as well as one final really awesome exercise. Head on over to the email to figure out what your movement activity for today is as well. As always, please tell me about your experience. Head on down to the comment section and tell us all about it. Don't be shy. Thank you so much for spending your time with me today, loves. Until next time, XOXO.